We pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
All right, clerk. We are verifying a quorum is present. Yeah. Notice of this meeting was made the 2 previous Sundays on the church calendar and in our weekly Staying Connected. And the purpose is to receive the 2025 annual report, approve changes to the bylaws, elect members at large for the 2026 Nominating Committee, receive the 2026 budget, receive updates, and share our vision for 2026. Woohoo! Copies of the annual report have been made available. If you didn't see them, they are on your table, and there are more in the back of Richardson. If you need an additional one, they'll also be available.
They're up there.
They're not in the back.
So
They're
is
up
large
here.
print.
We do have large print, if that would help anyone who is visually challenged like me, with progressive bifocals. So we have more large print as well, and you'll be able to download those. Friends, let us take a deep breath as we reflect on the gift of life. And as I read this necrology report, we thank God for these blessed siblings of ours. For Chloe Bradshaw, who died on February 17th. Royrena Hanley, who died on March 30th. Jan Lorenzen, who died on June 7th. Bill Riley, who died on June 17th. Bev Donnell, who died on July 18th. And the great heir, Ed Trailer's name is missing. He would be walking up here in his suit, giving me grief for that. April 26th. He may have been left off from some list, but he has not left our hearts. And so we remember Ed Trailer from April 26th. And I know there are others in your lives who you have said goodbye to in 2025. Let us take a moment of silence to give thanks. Oh God, we ask that you would comfort those who mourn. And we are so grateful that these dear ones have been met by your everlasting love and are free in your good care. They were a gift to us, and we thank you. Amen. We're now moving along to the revisions to the bylaws. These proposed changes were made available in recent weeks. And hopefully you were able to pick one up or look at it online. They were also attached there. The changes are to Article 6, this session, Section 1, members. And it states currently, the session of this church shall ordinarily consist of 9 elected, ordained, and installed elders with 3 classes of nearly equal in number, and the pastor. That's according to the Book of Order, G30201. And Article 7, the Board of Deacons, Section 1 members. The Board of Deacons of this church shall ordinarily consist of 15 elected, ordained, and installed deacons with an equal number of members in each class. The proposed change is to reduce the number of elders from 9 to 6, and the number of deacons from 15 to 12. We need a motion to revise the bylaws by reducing the number of elders from 9 to 6 and the number of deacons from 15 to 12. Is there a motion? All right, and a second?
Second.
Who was that? Oh, good, that was Don. For your reference, Janice. All right, I will read the rationale and then I'll call for questions. The number of people serving in an office or position is too large of a percentage for the membership size of our church. We currently have 137 members. At the current number, almost 18% of our membership serves as officers. With the proposed reduction, that percentage will be 13%, which we hope is more efficient and easier to attain. I'll now call for any questions or discussion. Yeah, Dennis.
Is there a recommended ratio by the book of order as to how many members should be per member?
Is there a recommended ratio in the book of order? What we have discovered, and you'll hear more about this with our coming committee structure, is that the book of order gives a great deal more freedom than our bylaws and standing rules tend to. So different churches do this different ways. I do know some churches smaller than ours that have maintained 9 elders, but no longer have a board of deacons. So a couple of the elders actually serve in that capacity. We also know churches with, smaller and larger groups of elders and deacons. So the book of order actually doesn't have that recommendation.
No,
Yes, Cindy?
it just says something like necessary to do the work of God.
And could I just see, if you've ever served as an elder or deacon, could you raise your hand?
Wow.
If you've served as both, could you raise your hand?
Both twice.
If you have served as both twice, more than twice. This community is so faithful with leadership. And, when we look at our list, first of all, I want to say if you are over 90 years old, you are so valuable, your wisdom, and you can still serve. Sally Rodriguez, Charity Committee, into her 90s. However, at a certain age, we understand when you don't want to go to meetings at night anymore. We understand when we get no's and they say, we support the good work being done. Please, I am not going to serve as an officer. And we want to allow for that rest. So that is the hope. Are there any other questions? Concerns?
My main concern is, how do the deacons feel with lowering their numbers if they feel like the work is too much for 12?
Great question. The question was, how do the deacons feel about lowering their numbers and if the work is too great? Heidi, did you want to answer that?
Sure. We just had a vote, email vote on that with very detailed information from the bylaws and the deacon bylaws. Oh, thank you. We just, in the last couple of weeks before this occurred, we took a vote on this matter for all the deacons to participate, except for the ones that happen to be out of the country. And we brought up the bylaws and also the standing rules of the deacons compared to the current and the proposed. And the deacons that voted unanimously supported the change. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Cindy?
I might add that the deacons have not had a full board since like 21, 22.
So that was Cindy saying the deacons have not had a full board since 21, 22. So we're just making our bylaws accurate to what current reality is. How many deacons do we currently have?
11.
We currently have 11. So we're closer to what we're looking for. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. If someone would call to end the questions and begin the vote.
I'll call the question.
That's Marcia.
I'll second.
And second, that was Cindy Janice. Please respond with your voice rather than your hand. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. And now we have Ann Goodman, our elder, overseeing the nominating committee. The nominating committee is composed of 2 members at large, elected by the congregation, one currently serving, should that be 3 members at large? The nominating committee is,
Yeah, but you're not there yet.
okay, it's composed of 2,
Yeah, you're right, 3.
is composed of 3 members at large, elected by the congregation, one currently serving elder selected by session, that's Ann, and one currently serving deacon selected by the deacons. And I'll let Ann introduce the folks. Just announced Deacon Lori Wood, current members at large.
Okay, so I was privileged for the first time to chair 2025 nominating committee, which stood as me as elder, and deacon was Lori Wood.
Would you wave? There's Lori. Yeah.
And the members at large were Susan Jarbo and Ida Ramsey. And they served faithfully and wonderfully and prayerfully.
Yeah.
Okay, so I, Elder Goodman in bold, I'm not going to read that. I will introduce the members of the incoming 2026 nominating committee, previously selected by session and deacon. So the elder member would be me, Ann Goodman. Deacon will be George Williams. In the back. And so the at-large members, we were looking for 3. Some of you probably remember talking to me over the phone. The way that the nominating committee chooses most anything, and this is how I learned, most of you have served in the nominating committee, is that what we tend to do is have a list of names. Everyone kind of prayerfully and individually kind of rank that list of names based on where they think, oh, God is leading them to nominate this person. We get together, we kind of tally up, and then those who had at least 2 votes, we call those people and we make the offer. So that's how we came up with it, right? To try to make sure that it's not just one person going, oh yeah, I like her, put them there. It really has to be an agreement, because we know the Lord really does value an agreement between us to be led. So with that being said, we were looking for 3, and one wonderful person had the calling and the opening to do so, which was Marge Lane. So we're calling Marge Lane. She said yes. She bonded that she's called to do so. I also want to say, for all those who got a phone call and said no, Kim, I just want to second Kim. It's okay to say no. You're not hurting people's feelings. You're doing what God is leading you to do, which is being honest about where you are right now in the time of life and whether or not you can serve. And so thank you for being honest with me, if you got that.
Okay, but what that means is that we do have 2 open positions on nominating. And someone can be nominated from the floor. If you are, you have to consent to it. But you do have choice. So I think Janice, I just asked for nominations from the floor.
At this point,
And then if there are any, it goes to
I'll
okay.
write it down, and if we get more than 2 nominations,
Okay,
then we will have to go to ballot.
okay. At this point, are there any nominations from the floor? Jeannie?
Teresa Fox.
And has Teresa Fox consented to
She
this?
would like to do it.
Okay. Teresa Fox is one. Are there any others? Lori?
Rick Wisely?
And Rick has consented? Okay. You sound certain, full of good faith and confidence.
That was his happy voice.
Okay, 2 nominations have come from the floor. Any others?
I move that nominations be closed.
All right, so moved. Is there a second? Second. All right. And so now, Janice and Cindy, I'm looking at you.
It's a
because
full slate, so we can vote for all 3 of them at the same time.
Okay, we do not need ballots or any of that, only if there's more than 2. Okay, so all in favor of receiving Teresa Fox, Rick Wisely, Marge Lane, and we don't have to vote on you. You're already in. So are you, George. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that carries. I think that's it. Yay. All right. Anne did thank the outgoing nominating committee, but I also thank those of you who served last year, who prayerfully discerned and had made phone calls and looked at lists and really worked hard to place people according to their gifts and how God was nudging them. So thank you for that. Thank you. And also, by the way, your work is not done until February 28th. You have just a few more days. Okay. All right, we're moving on to reports. And we have...
Add the new committee, their term.
What's that?
The new committee, their term starts.
The new committee's term starts on March 1st and runs through February of 2027. And first up, we have Heidi McKinley sharing a little bit about the deacons. Yeah, we can play.
Thank you, everybody. I have a cough today, so please excuse me if I take a water break.
Use the microphone.
Thank you, everyone. Please excuse me. I have a little cough today, so if I have to take a water break, there it is. First off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Heidi McKinley. I'm the current moderator of the Deacons of the First Presbyterian Church of El Cajon.
Yeah.
I want to start off for thanking everyone that has participated and your faithful support for the Deacons, both in prayer and your financial support, and also the physical support that many of you have given to the Deacons through your participation. We wouldn't really be able to do the things we do without you. If you're not familiar with the Deacons are ordained officers focused on ministry of compassion, service, and caring for the sick, the needy, the lonely, those in distress, within the church and within our greater community. Our 2026 budget for this year is $14,700. For 2025, our budget was $13,000. Due to the gracious and faithful support of our church community here, we were able to spend $15,279. So I want to thank the congregation for all your prayers and support in allowing the Deacons to live out this important mission. There were a few questions about how the Deacons felt about having a lower number. Currently we have 11 Deacons. We're hoping for 12 this next season. But we also have support of the congregation in Friends of the Deacons. So we have 4 Friends of the Deacons that also are taking on some of these responsibilities and supporting our congregation in many ways. So we appreciate that. And when you do get a call from the nominating committee, please prayerfully consider joining the Deacons. It is very rewarding. The reward isn't always coming to the meetings, but you will feel the reward when you get thanks from people that you have really helped. And your help does mean a lot to people. The most important thing I want you to go away with today is not how many deacons we have, how much money we spent, but what it really means to the people that we've helped. So I'm going to read a quick note that one of our congregants sent out recently about the support that they received and how that impacted their lives. Dear deacons, I want to express my sincere and heartfelt gratitude for financial assistance you provided to me during the holiday season. Your kindness made a very big difference in easing my hardships. I was able to pay bills, buy groceries, gas, and even a little bit for Christmas. Thank you for your faith and your compassionate care. You reminded me that I am not alone. And if you go away with one thing in your heart about the deacons, those are the things that I want you to remember. Thank you.
You said your budget was 15,000 or something. Does that come out of the general fund that you're monthly or weekly offering, or is it a separate deacon offering?
The deacon offering is separate from the general budget. There are envelopes in the pew, there are envelopes in your envelope boxes, or you can just send a check and make the note to the deacons. The deacons do not take their funds from the general fund. It is a completely separate contribution that you as a congregation have prayerfully supported. And as you can see, your congregation really appreciates it, and it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just tee them up for you.
Good work.
Yeah. Well, I'm here for.
My name is Richard Blackman, and
Oh, Mike, grass, no, you can do that, that's fine.
or
Or you can
Squeeze that and
squeeze and raise.
there we go. Hey, can you hear me in the back row? And the cheap seats?
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about refugee housing, the Thompson Hall renovation work, and the affordable housing project. So I got two agenda items that I'm going to share with you. The first is the Thompson Hall renovation. It's the refugee apartment that we've been working on for over 2 years now. And your session has been working to reuse the Thompson Hall, space, specifically for a refugee family. And this would be a family that would spend 6 months to a year there, just kind of recycle them through the process, get them established. The project got off the ground when the church received grant funds from the Presbytery. And in addition to that, the Wynn family made some contributions, as did the session, your church. That pool of money was used to pay for a design company to help with the design, paid for permits, and bottom line was we all thought the project was going to come in around $100,000, which was doable. We put this project out to bid. The session directed us to continue to do that. However, the lowest bid was over $300,000. So we took that back to session, and they basically said, let's stop the project. So we've notified those contractors that the project has been stopped, at least temporarily. The Refugee Family Committee will convene shortly to decide how to use the grant funds, how to use the other contributions to house a family. It may not be in Thompson Hall, it may be you know, someplace else on church property, it may be in a rental, who knows? The bottom line is that the Thompson Hall will continue to be used as it is being used now. The primary user is Kids Club and other meeting groups, so that's pretty much the status report. Do I have any questions on the floor on that? Okay, I'll move into the next one. That's the affordable housing project. If you remember, this is a project that was going on for 5.5 years, a long time. We had a great partner, Community Housing Works, and for a lot of reasons, we parted ways about a year ago. And there was a lot of discussion on whether we use this building as a part of the plan or just the parking lot. It was decided to just use the parking lot because Head Start was in here, and we continue to use this space, not as it should be used, but we use it on again and off again. So the plan now has been to put an RFQ out, which is a request for qualifications. We did that. We solicited it to well over 8 reputable developers who work with churches. We got 2 responses back, both of them very credible, both very different, and we've evaluated those. The next step is to put out what's called an RFP, or a request for proposal. Now, those 2 firms will receive this proposal in the next week or so, and the proposal basically states what we want to use and how we want to use the property. It's still focused on affordable housing. It's not going to be as big as we thought it was going to be. However, it'll be something that this church can be proud of, to be kind of the first in the presbytery and the first in the city of San Diego, I think, to really develop their property to affordable housing. Any questions on this? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, so I am speaking to our session committee restructure. In the past, we've had 6 committees. We've decided to combine a couple committees and bring that down to 4. And we're also looking at a new leadership program where the leaders do more envisioning and dreaming, meaning the session members. And then more of the hands-on work is done by all of you, which most of you are doing a lot of work anyway. As I go through these committees, Jenny Wisely was gracious enough to help me hand out those funding forward surveys. Many of you filled those out last year. The rest of those were handed out today, and those lists are going to go to the session members. And as they start working on the teams and the projects, they will be reaching out to you for help. So please say yes, and please help. So, okay, I did something wrong. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go like this. So the first committee is called the Connections Committee, and it's the merging of congregational connections and mission and outreach. Our purpose is to connect people to Jesus and to each other at FPC and in the wider community through fellowship, friendship, hospitality, partnerships, and outreach. The 4 teams that fall under this new committee, Connections, are the Welcome Team, the Hospitality Team, the Outreach Team, and the Ministry Support Team. Inside the parentheses are like sub-teams where the work is actually getting done. So the Welcome Team is out there on Sunday morning, greeting people, taking attendance, handing things out to them. A Connections Team, a Membership Team, and a Fellowship Team. You guys can read all that. I don't need to read it all to you. Please look up there. Look at something that you might be interested in, and please volunteer. Because again, we're going to need more of you helping out that way. with fewer leaders in the leading role. The Formation Committee is the next one, which was formerly Christian Education. That purpose is to cultivate the Christian faith and commitment, nurture spiritual growth, and develop servant-hearted leaders. The team, sorry about the spacing, it was fine when I made it on Google Slides, and then I transferred it to PowerPoint so I didn't have to depend on the internet, so my apologies. Children and youth, Sunday school, kids club, and the nursery. Adult ministry will be classes, adult groups, and ministries. We're starting a multi-generational team where all ages are included together in different classes or activities or ministries. And then an after-church ministry focusing on discussions, speakers, workshops, and such as that. The Operations Committee is the merging of the Administration Committee and the Personnel Committee. Oversees staff, finances, property, and the operations of the church with a missional focus and a kingdom priorities. Again, sorry. The teams are finance, budget, estate planning, stewardship, campus care, and there's a fourth one. There should have been a fourth one in there. I lost one. Richard, help me out. Personnel. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you. Personnel. Sorry. It also changed the spacing on me. The Worship Committee, which was formerly Worship Support, cultivate an environment of worship through diverse worship elements and consistent operations. And I'm missing a fourth one here too, so I need some help. Music ministry, choir, worship team and bells, the Sunday team, ushers, liturgists, AV team, flowers, banners. Worship planning is the support for planning of the service. And then the fourth one is?
I don't know if it's called the arts team.
Oh, creative arts team, thank you. Creative arts team, so special events, special services, things that happen inside the service. For example, the Blue Christmas last year service, that was a creative arts program, right? So before I go to that, any questions about the committees? I know I went through it fast. Yes, Lori?
When would they be meeting?
It depends on the team lead. And you don't even have to, you don't have to meet in person. You can just do the work and then report to someone via a phone call, a text, an email. For example, Jenny with the flowers. Okay, all she has to do is reach out to the team lead and say, hey, flowers are looking good, Easter lilies are coming up in a couple of weeks. So it all depends on the team lead. We're hoping for more flexibility, so more of the get-togethers, information gathering can be Zoom, via email, text, so that you just get the work done and just report it quickly, easily.
What about the committees?
The committees themselves, like the big committee, those will be held at the committee quarterly. We're going to go back to those once every quarter. And then if the committees need to meet more often, they can. Our hope is that they maybe don't have to anymore because more of the work is being done at the ground level. So, thank you, I missed that one. Dennis?
Are there any plans for cross-training of people so that if somebody who is a lead in one impact area of a committee, they could, and something happens, they qualifies or whatever, another person can then step in and do that job?
I'll repeat Dennis's question. Is there any kind of cross-training so that if whoever is a lead steps out for whatever reason, the person that comes in to follow up knows what to do? Yes, we are going to be making like a formal written, sort of like procedures, policies with everything written down so that people know exactly what's happening on that team or on that committee. That should help. Kim?
Mission is no longer in one of the committee titles.
Correct.
Can you talk about any justification for that?
Sure. Kim said that the word mission is not in any of the committee titles any longer. We've been thinking that the word mission has a mindset to it that is, oh, send your money overseas and you've done God's mission. And we've decided that that's not what it's all about. Sure, that's helpful. We have overseas ministries. But what we're working towards is doing more here in our community, more in El Cajon, more in San Diego County, more at the border. So we're working to get that word out of there because of the old school term and what it meant.
Everything is mission.
Everything is, and that too. Kim reminded me, everything is mission. Anybody else? Okay, so just the funding forward made the report in October. I shared the highlights with you at the November stewardship brunch, that's right. Session has formally agreed to act on 2 of the goals that are in there, so we're working on those. And then hopefully we'll be adding some more this year, so we'll keep you posted on those. The big one that they voted on was to look at the list of everything that's not finished and think about what we do want to finish, and let's get it done. So that's one of our big goals this year. And then next is Marcia, unless you have other questions for me.
Could I just add?
Of course you can.
So just a note about this committee reduction. We have a lot of really effective groups of people already doing what they're called to do. And so I think of even like the children's ministry team may continue to want to meet monthly if that's best for them, or the coffee fellowship team. But there may be another organic way, like when you're serving on Thursdays together, to do more planning in that capacity. So there are a lot of teams that are already existing that will just have the flexibility to do what's best for them. But for accountability, they will all have kind of an organized place in one of the 4 committees. Currently, our elders do still chair those 4 committees. That is under discussion. In the last couple of years, our elders have discerned that they wanted to do certain projects, that they have felt drawn by God to move in certain ways, but they haven't had the capacity to because they're busy with programming or they're too busy with committee work. So we are exploring whether that's necessary in the future. We may at some point move to a model where others chair those committees and our elders serve as spiritual, discerning leaders who take on projects, who give information, who pray and accompany, and are maybe part of those teams, but not necessarily chairs. We'll keep you posted about those changes, but right now, the 4 chairs of the 4 committees are elders that have hopefully reached out to you and your teams, and the teams Cindy reported on fall under those. We're experimenting for a new world, and we've been able to see a lot of different models, some that work and some that don't. And I've been reminded by teacher friends that mistakes are one of the greatest ways to grow and learn. And so if that happens, we embrace that too. Yeah. I'm going to welcome up Marcia to talk about some other changes happening.
Short and sweet, just want to update you first on Cindy, that she has a new title because one of the committees is Director of Operations. We wanted to change her title from Director of Operations to something else. So Cindy, in addition to being Commission Ruling Elder, she is the Director of Engagement. Carlos, many of you know that he has gone half-time here at our church. Presbytery has grabbed him up for the other half of his job, and he is working at the border in border ministries, and will be here at the church on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and most Sundays. Some Sundays he has commitments at other churches regarding the border ministries. His title is Director of Multicultural Ministries here at the church, so that title has changed. And then the last update just is that we are in the process of hiring a new Director of Worship, and Jeremy has been gracious enough to fill in until we find a new Director of Worship Art, so.
Or April.
Or April. Anyway, he's going to be leading us in worship for the next couple of months, so we really appreciate him being gracious in doing that while we hunt for the next Director of Worship Arts.
Yay.
All right, now I'm going to pretend to be Stephanie McDonald. She decided not to join us from Florida. So there are reports in your year-end annual report for me, it's mind-numbing. I mean, I love numbers, but it's mind-numbing to try to put everything together. So I decided to put a slide together that's like bottom line for you. So in 2025, our general fund, this is just the general fund, our donations were $381,336. Okay. Stephanie projected that we would have $389,300 come in. So we were about $8,000 less for whatever reason. Actually, that's pretty darn good. Okay. So we were under in our shortfall. Wrong button again. Okay. Our shortfall is just around $8,000. On the expense side, we budgeted to spend $506,000, but we only spent $479,000. Okay? So good and bad, I mean, that's good. The bad is that we didn't do what we said we were going to do. You could look at it that way. But our shortfall, more than enough covered that. However, because of the difference in our income that we project and our expenses, we did budget to lose $117,000 this year. The good news is we only lost $97,000. Okay? So that's good news. Right? That's good news. Right? I'll take it. Just to let you know that you guys did come through. As Heidi mentioned earlier, you donated about $15,000 to the Deacons Fund, which is above and beyond the general fund. You also donated $13,000 to the building fund. And then above and beyond that, we had $525 that came in extra for the roof. And you fully sponsored 65 children for the Christmas Beyond Borders, which was $6,500. So if you add all that up, that's an awful lot of contributions beyond the $381,000. So I think you should give yourselves a round of applause. You guys do a great job. You step up. That touches your heart and everything. And then just our cushion, just so you're aware, our cushion is covered by our Head Start grant right now. Notice we spent all but $5,000 of it in the deficit. So just be aware of that. Okay? And so this year, as we go to 2026, I thought I had 2026 in there. Oh, well, it's in your packet. The 2026 budget is about what 2025 is. It's a couple $1,000s less. Carlos going half-time changed it, right? And me becoming CRE, there's an increase in my income, but it's not as much as what it was before. So I think we're still down about 2,000, is that right? 504 instead of 506?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Okay, questions about 2025 or the budget for 2026? Heidi?
Tell us about why we don't just include the Head Start rent as income. And so we're not carrying as severe of a deficit.
I think Stephanie does that, she puts it in a special funds account, okay, for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of our special funds are put into investment accounts to earn some money. And then the other reason is we don't necessarily need to spend it. The hope is we're not going to spend all of it. So why put it in there if we aren't going to need it? Because originally it was just supposed to be sitting, and then we would just use it as the need came. So that's why she does that. Marcia?
Yeah, it's kind of like a savings account.
It's like a savings account.
We only draw when we need to.
Mm-hmm. Doug?
Since we depend so much on Head Start to balance our budget, what is the status of Head Start going forward?
So Doug's question, since we depend on Head Start, what is the status of Head Start? We were told by Head Start that they had funding through, I think, the end of 27. Is that correct? Through the end of 27. So we have at least like another year and a half. After that, it all depends on whatever happens at the federal government level.
You have a contract with them, right?
Well, we have a 10-year lease, but they can get out of it.
If the feds.
Yes, if the federal government stops their funding, that is one of the ones that was actually written in the lease that they can end it if their funding stops. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other questions? So just so that you know, we will be looking at other avenues for renting out more of our property, just in case Head Start decides to go away. So I probably once a week get some kind of an email from a company that's looking to rent space. So we are investigating it. We're not gonna let that go to the last second, so. Any other questions? Doug?
What's the status on the rent of the little church that meets over here?
The Anglican Church, they are paying us about $300 a month, $75 a Sunday.
Are they locked into any kind of?
It's for 1 year, and then we'll renegotiate it after a year. I think they really like being here, so I think they'll probably want to renew it. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Ken, it's your turn.
I know these are different times. A group of us, we were at a property development meeting. Was that last Saturday?
Yeah.
A week ago? Ooh, time. And something was said that I read in a book and I knew but had forgotten, which is that our whole concept of tithing in its modern form is really only 300 or 400 years old, because churches used to receive state funding, or in the Church of England, it was all embedded. And so really congregations being reliant solely on parishioners is relatively new. There was greater support in other ways at one time. And we're in this great shakeup where we're looking at our properties differently. We want to be a blessing to a small Anglican church that's a church plant. You know, we're not going to raise the rent, hopefully, on them, but there are other projects that really can generate great income and just give us flexibility to do all God has called us to do, kind of adapting to our world and rising costs and what is no longer, you know, feasible for the people to solely give to. And we understand that. I mean, I'm so struck by the generosity. I mean, especially that slide with the unexpected roofing needs, the children in Tijuana that were supported so much. You've given so much above and beyond. So I just want to say thank you for that. And this is why we've had funding forward. When you hear about these initiatives, we have a lot of people that are reading books and asking questions and looking at trends and visiting places and releasing what we think is ours, you know, and acknowledging it is all God's. The church is fine. The Holy Spirit is doing great. How are we adapting to whatever God is leading in our time and in our particular faith community? So, as we come to the close of reports and numbers and votes and updates, I invite us to breathe. Especially for those of you like me who get intimidated by big numbers in red on the screen. May we breathe. Yeah, and I invite us to listen to God, who is always with us, to remember who we are and who we are becoming together in Christ. In the annual report that you'll read and in these presentations, many hopes have been shared. We hope that affordable housing will come together. We hope that our finances will be strengthened. We hope that our new committee structure will create more sustainability, flexibility, and freedom. We hope that our partnerships and our service contributes to God's good work that is already among us and God who is already in our neighborhood. All of this, all of our efforts and our hard work and our actions matter. But today, I think the question that's maybe more important and closer to my heart, it's a question that I think lives under the other questions, which is, are we growing in love? Not just in what we do, but who we are becoming. I started my letter in the report with this statement from the Apostle Paul, who writes, "I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal. And I like that Paul's language isn't one of arrival, but of becoming. This reminder that we're not finished. We have not taken a hold of it yet. We haven't taken a hold of our projects or affordable housing. We've actually been told that 5.5 years is nothing. That often these projects take 5 to 10 years of praying and dreaming and working to get it off the ground. We've not taken hold of the fullness of Christ. Anyone? Or the kingdom as God dreams it. And yet, I remind us today that Christ is in our midst, and that the Holy Spirit is not waiting at some finish line out there, but is walking with all of us, collectively and individually right now, growing love and transforming us by love. Something that I'm taking with me from 2025 is from last fall, something that made its way into like a month of my sermons was the idea of fractals. Anyone remember the fractals? So, I don't know, when things are really dark and the news is bad and everyone has different opinions on everything and there's a lot of stress, I've just been reminded that transformation often happens through fractals of faith. Tiny, repeated, faithful patterns that slowly and mysteriously reshape the whole. You know, like prayer that is practiced, that no one sees. Or choosing kindness when it would be so much easier not to. Or listening rather than defending. Or staying at the table instead of walking away. Or welcoming one more person into a circle that's already formed. Fractals remind us that small changes in one place can ripple into everything else. Creation itself preaches this. We see this in the patterns of the fern and the seashell, in tree root systems, and in the galaxies that show these repeating patterns. There's all this hidden order within this holy design. God's ways may be hidden and mysterious and sometimes misunderstood, but they are good and they are growing around us. And Jesus says that even like the smallest thing, like the mustard seed that is often overlooked and sometimes even invasive, can grow into the very thing that shelters life. And today, as we explored the start of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus shows us that God blesses the hurt and works through the small and vulnerable. So I wanted to just recount some of the good ways that I see God working among us. So many fractals. I have seen fractals of courage in devoted and discerning elders, in the great generosity and care of our deacons, who were able to give so much more than anticipated over the holidays because of your generosity. In the committees and teams faithfully meeting, and volunteers who kept showing up in courageous conversations, in prayers offered, alone, and in centering prayer, and in circle prayer, and in those of you still praying at 7 in the morning and 7 at night. Amen. In leaders who address crisis with grace, like the week before Christmas when somebody ran into our building and happened to hit the spot where the gas line ran, and there was a great gas leak in our building. Yeah, leaders who handle those things. And those who step into new ministry journeys and invitations. And I think of Megan Benjamin finally being ordained, and Cindy Graham being a commissioned ruling elder, and Carlos stepping into a bigger role with our San Diego Presbytery. I've seen fractals of hospitality in children among us who have a large, loving family. They have a lot of aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas. And in children just south of the border wearing hats that were knit by you. And in visitors and a lot of new members welcomed. In Spanish-speaking siblings leading with vision. And in our church becoming more fully the welcoming refuge we name in our vision. And to hear people recount that in casual conversation, like, well, we're a welcoming refuge, though. We can't be exclusive about that. I hear that coming up in conversation, and I think, yeah. And I've seen fractals of healing in people deepening friendships, in people remaining friends and loving each other despite political differences, in people naming their need and their hurts, in people returning to worship after loss, in people practicing forgiveness, in people saying goodbye well, and in people daring to trust God again. There's been so much goodness, and sometimes it's just these tiny patterns of joy, of music, of conversation that then ripples out. So that's my great hope for 2026, is that we would continue to grow into Christ-likeness, that we would, more than anything, grow in love through daily, faithful, repeated choices, love that is practiced again and again. And I do pray that we continue to grow in love of God and for one another and our neighbors and ourselves. So, dear beloved congregation, we have not taken hold of it yet, but we are pressing on. Christ is with us here. The Spirit is already moving, and love is already at work. Thanks be to God. And God bless you all. Thank you for being this church family. And then on that note, we have one more motion. There's a
notes go to where they're supposed to.
Yes, Joel says a motion to close and send the minutes of this meeting to session made by Joel, seconded by John Fisher. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, this meeting is adjourned. God bless you all.
That's good.